It's August 13th, 2021. We are looking at my first Macintosh SE. I purchased this new back in 1989. My friend Jim, a college roommate, was working for Apple at the time, and he purchased this at a deep discount from the Apple company store for me. And I used it for until 92. And then in, where's the tag? March of 1992, I sent this off to another roommate named Jim, a dorm roommate, and he took it to Computerware on Lawrence Avenue in Sunnyvale, maybe it's Santa Clara, and had it upgraded. You can see that the back and the front case don't quite match, and that's because when they upgraded it from an SE to an SE30, they not only replaced the motherboard, but they replaced the front bezel, I'm guessing, so that it would have the correct information on it. Maybe the design was slightly different on the inside as well. So then my dorm roommate Jim sent the computer back to me. He was working at a place called Show Graphics, 1890 North Shoreline in Mountain View, and it was shipped on March 4th of 1992. So that's the kind of interesting history of this SE30. Most SE30s were SE30s to begin with, but not this one. So this now has a SCSI to SD card in it, and I have cleaned and lubricated the floppy drive and replaced the eject gear, so that works great. And it comes with a keyboard and a mouse. This mouse is a little bit yellow. I may have a slightly less yellow mouse, and if so, I will include that instead of this mouse. But this mouse works just fine. So watch how fast this boots with the SCSI drive in it, or the SCSI to HD drive. So this is a silicon drive, no spinning, not a spinning drive, no moving parts. How about that? That's pretty quick, right? And another thing that you may not have noticed when it was rebooting is that the mouse doesn't work too well on a fuzzy blanket, so I'll get a mouse pad. Let me go ahead and restart. If you look carefully, you'll see that the LED works. And I spent maybe an hour tweaking the bracket, bending it and twisting it, and making sure that it was positioned so that the LED visibility was maximized. Maybe that doesn't matter to you, but I'm proud of it. As far as memory goes, it's got 8 megabytes. That's the maximum memory you can put in this without running mode 32, as I understand it. But I believe you can go much, much higher. There's nothing wrong with the screen. It's just that my camera is running at a different frame rate than the screen, and so it looks weird. 6.18 or 6.08 is installed. This is a nice, clean, fresh install. There are some pretty useful control panels here. SCSI probe shows you that the SCSI to HD is at ID 0, the computer is at 7, there's nothing else. And then this is pretty critical, set date. This allows you to put the correct date in. Without this, the best you could do would be 1921. And then Pyro is a screensaver. Now, the screen does have a slight amount of burn, and it's probably not visible on the video or the pictures, but right here, right about here, there's a faint line that goes across here, and it doesn't have any sharp boundaries. It's not really distracting to me. Your mileage may vary, but it's just a slight, the color changes a little bit. That's about it. Above that line, the color is a little more blue. Below it, it's a little more yellow. But it's probably only visible with this background. If you were to choose a different desktop background, you wouldn't be able to see it at all. And maybe if I didn't point it out, you wouldn't notice it. But It's pretty faint. Anyhow, I just wanted to disclose that because I see a lot of people saying that they have no screen burn-in on their descriptions, and frankly I find that difficult to believe because this thing had a screensaver on it the whole time, and it's got a little bit of burn-in, and it was not abused. So software. There is a ton of software on here. BBEdit, a couple versions of Excel, Helix Express, Quick Basic, StuffIt, ZTerm, those are in the applications folder. And then I've got a few versions of Draw and Paint. The two first versions of Draw don't seem to work on an SE30, which doesn't surprise me because McDraw 1.7, that probably goes back to the Mac 128. And then we've got some games. Flight Simulator, that's awesome, of course. Hellcats, 99 bottles of beer, this is critically important.
Bottle of beer on the wall, 99 bottle of beer, take one down, pass it around, 98 bottle of beer on the wall, 98 bottle of beer on the wall, 98 bottle of beer, take one down, pass it around.
50 quadrillion is the max.
432 trillion, 154 billion, 312 million, 211,253 bottles of beer on the wall.
I guess that was 5 quadrillion, not 50. Load Runner is a really great game. There's a problem running it on the SE30. You can't click in this window with the mouse. As long as you use the keyboard, everything is great. I've been online trying to get somebody to help me with oops, I couldn't remember which keys to help me with this problem. It seems to just be an SE30 issue. There may be a version that runs on the SE30 without trouble, but anyhow, I'm sure you're not buying the computer just for Load Runner, so MusicWorks is pretty cool. Has a graphic, really neat interface. Alright, you get the idea. There's some song files there. SoundEdit Pro is really good. Here we go, Green Acres. Oh, I didn't mean to. As far as I know, an SE doesn't have a microphone. I was trying to click the volume. I thought the VU meter would be volume. Anyhow, so SoundEdit Pro is pretty cool. And then we've got a few versions of MacWrite and Edit, that's useful. Then we've got PageMaker, Quark, and Ready Set Go. There are a whole bunch of versions of Ready Set Go here. And a Ready Set Go poster. PageMaker, Quark, Ready Set Goes. Utilities. 6.08 install disks. You could put those on floppies if you'd like to have a set of floppies. HD Setup 2.0, and then there's HD Setup 7.3.5 patched that will see non-Apple disks, which the stock version won't. And then Fedit allows you to put boot blocks on an SD card or a disk. Macromaker. ResEdit, there's a couple of versions of ResEdit. That's kind of a pro tool, you don't want to be screwing with that. And during startup you might not have noticed, but there is a driver for zip disks installed, so if you have a SCSI zip drive, this will work with it without you having to do anything special. I've already taken care of that. Then there's some fonts, including barcode fonts, Microsoft Basic, several versions, including the compiler, some clip art, and the system folder. 32-bit quick draw, printers, Pyro, all the good stuff. And then it will run MultiFinder. We'll just reboot it. I love how fast this reboots. It's just amazing. The icon with the X in it in the bottom corner there was for the zip drive. That's because there's no drive attached right now, so it doesn't load. What was I going to do? MultiFinder. So we're going to start eyes. We'll put the eyes over here. And we'll keep an eye on what we're doing. And then we can start, I don't know, edit. New. There we go. So we're running two applications at once. We're running edit and we're running eyes. That's how MultiFinder works. So I don't know why, but I just prefer plain Finder. Alright, I'm not sure what else to say about the software and whatnot. As you can see, the keyboard's in great shape. Doesn't look like there's any food between the keys at all. Mouse is good. It's got both Velcro, that would be useless, Teflon. It's got both Teflon pads intact. They seem like they've got pretty low mileage. And I guess we'll take a look inside the computer. Well, let's take a look at the back first, then we'll look inside later. Okay, so I've turned the computer around, as you can see. Just a second. So this is an expansion, a cover for, or an opening for an expansion port. You could put some kind of card in there in days gone by. There's the cover. It snaps right on there. I don't know how you get it off. If you don't have access to the back of it, you've kind of got to push out to get it off. So I wouldn't really recommend putting that back on. And in there is the SD card for the SCSI to HD, 8 gigabytes. The drive is formatted to 3.9 gigabytes, which is 4 is the max the computer can handle. And then there's a little bitty USB port there that you use to configure the drive. I mentioned that this computer was upgraded, and so when they upgraded it, they put a second sticker on here for the SE30, so there's actually 2 layers of sticker there. I don't know, I'm kind of fascinated by that. I may be the only one that thinks that that's like extra cool collectible feature, but I do. So then of course you've got 2 ADB ports, those work fine. Floppy port, SCSI port, printer, modem, and speaker. There's no jack for a microphone on this model. I guess I could flip it up. We could take a look at the underside. There's the underside. It's got 4 rubber feet. Nothing funny going on there. Alright, so I think that's about it for the exterior tour. I will take the lid off and we'll do a little tour of the inside. Here's the interior of the SE30 case. The analog board has been recapped. The power supply has been recapped. Everything is super clean. The floppy drive has been disassembled, cleaned, lubricated, and had its eject gear replaced. Here we have a SCSI to SD card, and this SCSI to SD card is in the middle of the SCSI ribbon cable. One end is attached to the motherboard, this is in the middle, and the other end has a terminator on it. That's really important because the SCSI to SD card's software termination isn't particularly reliable, I've found. So I've turned it off, and now we have perfectly reliable hardware termination there. The LED line is connected to an LED, which is properly positioned so that you can see it easily from the standard viewing position. Isn't that beautiful? Also, we have this 3D printed bracket, which gives you access to the SD card and the micro, I think, USB, and that's accessible with the case on. You just have to take a little access panel off that snaps off. I guess that's about all I have to say about the inside. Put a ton of time into getting this baby just the way I want it. Let's talk about the box. This is an original Macintosh SE box. I've had it since it was new. It's obviously not in perfect shape. After all, it did take a trip to California and back for the motherboard upgrade. No major problems with it. And inside we have a couple things. There's more, but let's talk about what's in there now. Alright, so first of all, there's the poly bag. I believe it's original. The computer was in it when I took it out of the box to start working on it. This is a shipping disk for the floppy drive. That's really important. You put that in the computer and it keeps the heads from banging together during shipping. I will do that before I ship. And Apple tour of the Macintosh SE. So this is the only disk that's in the box at the moment. There's other stuff that's included, and I'm going to just list that in the listing because I didn't get it together before making this video. Here's the original packing list. And this little bracket here is used to tie two floppy drive brackets together. So if you decide you don't want a hard drive and you want to put two floppy drives in, you use this plate to tie the two drives together. So the foam was broken in a couple places. I spent about, I don't know, an inordinate amount of time repairing this foam. It's all glued where there were cracks. It has been carefully glued back together. So it's not super pretty, but the structural integrity is good. There were a couple cracks in the bottom too. Those have been fixed. And here's something important. This is the accessory box. It included or it contained some manuals and discs and whatnot. And I don't know how many Macs still have their original accessory box, but this one does. It stands there. The computer goes there. And like I said, I didn't gather everything together, but it's got packing list, getting started, quick reference card. Oh, and the discs, they never seem to stay in their correct place. There are 4 or 5, and then there's the other one, 6 discs present. I think there were supposed to be 8, so I've got some hunting to do. System tools, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it came with 8 discs. I don't know that I have them all, but I will list in the text of the eBay listing everything that's included. But it's pretty cool that the container is still there. I think that's all I had to say about the box. So there you have it. A really awesome one-owner Macintosh SE30 with a SCSI to HD silicon hard drive, a whole ton of software, mouse, keyboard, power cord, and original packaging. I hope you like it as much as I do. It's a pretty cool computer.